Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Wrestling with Power. I am Mr. Mosley.
I am Slick Vic.
Jesus!
we got a hell of a show today for you guys. This is the official go-home show. This is our go-home show to Wrestlepalooza, which is going to be happening this Saturday. And as such, our main event tonight is going to be Slick Vic's picks for Wrestlepalooza.
Oh, yeah.
I know everybody has been eagerly anticipating that. Are you feeling it, Vic? Are you feeling the pressure, or are you feeling like you've got this thing?
I'm feeling pretty confident this time, man. It's gonna be a clean sweep. You see.
All right. So we've got that. We've got the Raw review from September the 15th. We've got the SmackDown review from September the 12th. We're going to mention a couple of things here and there that's been going on, and not a whole lot's been going on, so it's a good thing that this is sort of a show that we get, we got the reviews and we got the picks to fill out the card for us here tonight. But, yeah, so Vic, as per the usual, I'll ask you, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right. Feeling very energetic today, actually, because I had some G Fuel. And
okay.
I'm staying hydrated now, so
sweet.
Yeah, my mind is racing. I got a lot going, lot to cover. Really excited. So yeah, I'm revved up and ready to go. How are you feeling, Mr. Mosley?
Well, I'm staying hydrated as well. Now that you ask, I'm got a few. What did you call them? Libations.
I believe I did. Some libations. So yeah,
I got a couple of libations over here, so we're doing good. Before we jump into it there, Vic, once again, we want to see what Vic's gimmick is for the week. For those of you who are watching on YouTube or maybe even watching the video on Spotify, you might see that Vic has a little something over here. Of course, he's got the crystal ball sitting in the back, which will make its entrance later. But right now, let's talk about what you got there, Vic.
I got a sarcophagus from Egypt. I got this. Actually, I did buy this in Egypt, actually. I was in Egypt a couple years ago. So this is an actual Egyptian-made sarcophagus. Or if this was Undertaker, it'd be a casket or whatever. But you can put some stuff in there, man. A lot of good stuff in there. Some stuff you don't want people to find. You just put it in the sarcophagus, man. Nobody will ever find it.
There you go. Well, we were talking about the Crypt Keeper last week popping out of his sarcophagus, and now Vic has his official Egyptian sarcophagus. As he said, he got that straight from Egypt.
Have you ever
sure that
watched...
thing isn't cursed? Do you want that so close to the crystal ball that maybe it's going to rub off on it? I mean...
Oh, man.
That you might have set yourself up for failure here, Vic.
It's too late. Whatever I've done cannot be undone.
That's true.
Have you ever watched The Mummy with Brendan Fraser?
I have. It's been a long time, but yeah.
Good movie. Really fun. I highly recommend our listeners go check it out if they haven't watched it in a while. It still holds up. Still fantastic. Good time.
I think all the ones that came after sucked, though, didn't they? Like every subsequent Mummy.
I thought The Mummy Returns was actually pretty good. And that's actually The Rock's very first acting role, if you remember. The Rock played the Scorpion King in The Mummy Returns.
Yeah,
which led to a spin-off. Yeah, with the bad CGI, which led to the spin-off, The Scorpion King, which I believe was The Rock's first leading role. That was okay. It's, popcorn fun, but it was all right, which is funny because they made like 5 or 6 straight-to-video sequels to The Scorpion King, but only one more sequel to Mummy. Had to have been a rights issue. And I think Dave Bautista is even in one of those Scorpion King sequels.
Was The Rock in all of those?
No. Well, The Rock was only in the first one.
How do you have a Scorpion King movie without the Scorpion King? Somebody else play the Scorpion King?
Either that. Yeah, probably. To be honest, I haven't seen him. But there's that bracelet I'm sure that bracelet has something to do with it. The Rock wore a bracelet, which was also a plot device in The Mummy Returns. So it's almost like whoever wears the bracelet is Scorpion King. Maybe. I could be completely wrong.
We may have to do
not
some
seen it.
investigative journalism here into the Scorpion King series.
While we're on the subject of movies, I should I have to regret to inform you that I have not watched Akira yet. So that review will have to be.
That's right. You were supposed to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. That review will be coming eventually. But it will not be tonight, unfortunately.
Well, maybe next time, Vic. Maybe next time. It's okay. You've got plenty of time to get around to that. I might pass you. Do you have the movie, or does Tab have the movie?
I don't, but I'm sure it's on a streaming service, or it can be acquired some way.
Yeah. Well, it's on. Yeah. Well, you and your your VPN, your very pirate network over there. You'll figure out a way to get it. I was gonna say I have it on Vudu. I would share if you wanted to use mine.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll work my way to watching it. Don't you worry.
It's okay. Got all the time in the world. Let's talk some wrestling.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Let's do it.
Let me get a beverage, a little sip here first. Sorry.
A refuel.
My whistle. Yeah, a little refuel. So before we jump right into the reviews, because there's been a couple of things that happened, and one thing that I think is easy to skim over with the WWE reviews, or I mean, it might be something that we mentioned during it, but Dirty Dom won the AAA Mega Championship at Worlds Collide.
Yeah, I actually did see that match. I did watch. I did go back and watch that match between him and El Hijo de Vikingo.
Yeah. I wonder if that rubbed people the wrong way, like AAA fans, him coming in and winning that belt. I know it was like a shenanigans top ending, but I wonder
it
if
was
that's
interesting. Like, if you watch that match, that was in Las Vegas as opposed to, Mexico. And Vikinga was getting booed mercilessly.
Really? See, I didn't watch the whole match. I wonder why. I wonder, is it just because people love Dom that much?
I think so. I'm guessing that a lot of the people in attendance were just not familiar with Vikingo or AAA. So they were just cheering on Dominic Mysterio because they knew who he was. But I hear there's also some politics going on with how they treated Alberto Del Rio or something. I don't know. I'm not well versed in AAA.
They did take the title off of Del Rio, like right when the acquisition happened.
Yes.
So that was odd. Does Del Rio still work for AAA, or do you know?
I don't know.
Interesting. I like Del Rio. I wish he'd come back. I always liked him, except for his finisher, which we've talked about before was ass. But, like, I like Del Rio. Thought he was good. Okay. Well, speaking of Mexicans, Andrade, he's gone.
Oh, yeah.
He's gone from the WWE. The news broke a few days ago that apparently, I don't think that his contract ended. I think that there's something, I don't have the full story here, but I think there was some kind of disciplinary measure that was taken. He was sent home and then he was released.
Yeah. I heard that story. I also heard something about him also being somewhat difficult backstage.
Really?
So, yeah. So maybe those are related. He was difficult, so they sent him home for disciplinary reasons, and he's gone now.
I feel like they weren't using him properly anyway. Like, they brought him back, and it just kind of felt flat. And at first, it kind of felt like that was something that they just wanted to get him away from AEW, but I really don't think that the WWE really cares who AEW has and who they don't have. So it makes it kind of weird. It's like, why would you bring the guy back and then have... I really enjoyed those tag team matches that he had in recent weeks. I thought those were really good. I don't remember who his partner was. Who was his partner in those tag matches?
Ray Phoenix.
Ray Phoenix. Those were awesome. But I don't know.
So I think his last match was that SummerSlam match with all the tag teams.
Yeah. Well, we wish him the best in his future endeavors.
Yes, we
but
do.
Yeah, Andrade.
That's my line.
He'll be back at some point. They'll bring him back. Maybe they'll bring him back in AAA. That would be good. I think he would maybe go over better there.
It's almost kind of funny where, like, someone gets released from WWE and then they go to TNA, and then there's like a TNA partnership with WWE. Likewise, if somebody was to go from WWE to AAA and then, WWE bought out AAA.
Yeah.
And it's like, are they going to be back on TV? Back on WWE TV?
That's the thing. I mean, technically, in a roundabout way, they are on WWE TV because they own them. And WWE doesn't own TNA yet, but it's sort of a matter of time, I think. They're probably going to buy that company.
I read the headline recently with Kurt Angle saying he hopes they buy TNA, or at least buys their library, because Kurt spent more time in TNA than he did in WWE. So he kind of wants the people to have access to those, because if you want to watch an old TNA pay-per-view, how do you do that? Can you even do that, like, legally?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm assuming if there's no way to do it legally, then any way to do it would be legal, right?
If I can't have it, nobody can. Or if nobody can have it, I will make it happen.
Right, exactly. Like, who's going to sue me for downloading a WWF No Mercy ROM? Nobody.
THQ is not listening, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, I don't think THQ exists anymore, and I don't think the likes of Chris Benoit are going to get too upset if I download a game he was in.
Oh, we're going to talk about Chris Benoit during a match later on tonight. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know, man. But I don't know. Like I say, I liked Andrade. I didn't really care how he was booked, but I thought that the matches that they put him in, he really did great on. So I don't know. That's an evolving story. Maybe our listeners can elaborate a little bit if they've heard anything else. That's the extent of all I heard, and that's pretty much the extent of all the news I've got this week. Vic, do you got anything that's been floating around that crossed your radar before we jump into these reviews?
Nothing else comes to mind at the moment. Will you? You guys? So I guess you're gonna miss Andrade, huh?
Well, I'm not gonna miss him probably, but I'm just upset that, I'm upset that he wasn't utilized better, especially the fact that he was there, then he left, and then they brought him back. It's like, why would you bring him back unless you have a plan, good plan for them to? It's like, they're not going to bring somebody back and pay him if he's not going to make them money. So what was the plan, and how did it fail? Because I didn't see what happened as far as the plan. It looked like he was just kind of wrestling on SmackDown. He was just one of these guys that was wrestling almost every week. Wasn't really going anywhere storyline-wise. And I don't know, maybe he was pissed about that. Maybe the disciplinary action he was pissed. I don't know.
All right. Well, let's move on.
R.I.P. Andrade. All right, or at least his career. All right, so we got the SmackDown review coming up right now from September the 12th, 2025, and Vic is going to present that review for us today.
Yes, so, SmackDown, September 12th, 2025 in Norfolk, Virginia. So, we opened the show with Brock Lesnar. When was the last time we saw Brock open the show? Or at least, he was at appearance last week. Anyways, regardless, what I really should say, though, this is more like an R-Truth promo featuring Brock Lesnar, because before Brock said anything, R-Truth comes out. He does his whole "What's up" entrance. First, Truth tells him welcome back. And Brock says he doesn't know who he is. Truth is not happy of the disrespect he's giving his older brother John Cena. Says his name is Ron Cena, which gets a chant. And then Truth says Super Cena is coming for Brock. The arguing sounds kind of like an Abbott and Costello routine to me. I don't know if you thought this was funny or what, or are you familiar with Abbott and Costello, because it was kind of just back and forth, kind of Brock playing the straight man and R-Truth just being the comedy act. But then R-Truth gets F5'd and Brock tears his jeans in the process, which he got a laugh out of everybody. The cameraman showed it. Brock was laughing and slapping high fives and, swearing at the camera on his way back. In jest, of course. He wasn't mad about it. He was just kind of like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but I remember an F-bomb being dropped as he was looking at the camera.
He's like, Stu, I tore my fucking pants.
Yes. Stu, I tore my fucking pants. Anyways, what did you think of this promo? I told you before it was like a weird Abbott and Costello promo to me, but.
And I'm not familiar with that individual, but I thought it was kind of weak. I didn't understand what they were trying to do here. Like, Brock comes out and he doesn't really get a word in. What was he going to say? We don't really find out, unless he was just going to call out John Cena, which seems to be the case. Because when Truth gets out, Brock's like, do you know where Cena is? And Truth's like, no. But then they do this whole bit where he's like, well, what are you doing here? And then R-Truth does this whole funny bit, or it's supposed to be funny, and then they go back to the same thing. He's like, so where's John Cena? And Truth's like, I don't know. He's like, so why are you here? So they like circled. I'm like, what are they doing? Just F5 him and leave already. Like, this is terrible. Brock did get a big pop coming out, but the whole segment I thought was just kind of silly, man. I guess that's the point with Truth, though. He is kind of silly, and some people really like that. I think he's funny sometimes. Not all the time, though. Unfortunately, this was one of the cases I didn't really get too big of a kick out of. And as far as Brock splitting his pants, then making fun of himself, I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was the best part of the entire segment. If that hadn't happened, completely shitty segment. But yeah, that one bit of him splitting his pants open was more entertaining than anything that R-Truth said.
See, I don't think they should have gone for comedy for this angle with Brock versus John Cena. And, when we get to the Raw review, you'll see how John took it very seriously. But this one was going for a comedy, and then Brock tearing his pants just added to it. So it was one big comedy segment.
Yeah.
Unintentionally.
Yeah.
Anyways, so moving along. Backstage, we find out who Sami Zayn's next opponent is going to be for the U.S. Open Challenge, and it's Rey Fenix. Followed by a Solo Sikoa package where he's mad that he lost the belt and the Ula Fala, and he's coming for Sami. So then we have our match. We have Sami Zayn versus Rey Fenix for the U.S. title. Start off shaking hands, but then arm drags happen. So we got some arm drags by Sami, followed by a big arm drag by Fenix, and we go to break. And then Fenix hits a nice corkscrew dive off the top rope, and then a great counter to the Blue Thunder Bomb by Fenix. Nice looking super kicks as well. And then we go to break. Joe Tess says it's been a back and forth up until now, I felt like it was mostly Fenix. And then Fenix hits the double stomp in the corner in the Sami, which this time actually looked good. It wasn't the usual guy is holding himself up in the corner type thing. No, Sami was sitting on the turnbuckle, and Fenix comes from behind him and like jumps on his back. Good stuff. Anyways, beautiful springboard moonsault by Fenix. And then Sami finally hits a counter and hits the Blue Thunder Bomb. Starts getting a little bit more offense. Another counter by Zayn leads to a Helluva Kick for the pin. All right. I thought Fenix looked great here. I thought he looked like a star. Like they really showcased. They made him look like $1 million. I wish it was more back and forth action, like Joe said, but it was like 75-80% Fenix, and Sami just hits a few counters and wins the match. So I just wanted a little bit more back and forth match, but I was really, really digging what we saw from Rey Fenix. Your thoughts, Mr. Mosley?
I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there, man. That was my entire feelings about the match. It was 95% Rey Fenix and 5% Sami Zayn, which, well, I'll read, it's sort of verbatim what my notes were here. I thought it was great seeing the U.S. title open challenge continue here. I did say last week that I hope they continue to do it, and it's not just a gimmick thing with John Cena being the opponent last week. But it was great seeing that continue. Rey Fenix, all of his high flying and flowing around the ring was on full display. There were a lot of great dodges and counters into more offense. But he always got the 2 count. And Zayn allowed Fenix to put on his best performance, I thought, at the cost of having very little of his own ability showcased. But I think that's how the U.S. Open matches should go, for the most part. Maybe not to this extreme. But, I remember when Cena did it the first time, it was sort of to showcase these other guys. They weren't going to win. They weren't going to beat him. Well, I guess eventually that someone did. But it was mainly to showcase them, to kind of showcase them to the world and bump them up to the next level. But I thought it was a very good match to start the show. And I think that match should have opened the show instead of the Brock Lesnar and R-Truth thing. I think that they could have saved the Brock Lesnar segment for after this match or maybe even a little bit later. I'm sure Lesnar wanted to get out of there as quick as he could, and that's probably why they did it first. But, I think this match should have opened the show. It was really, really good. The only thing that I didn't like was that, when you have this situation where the challenger is on offense 90% of the time and gets several 2 counts, you are showcasing his skills, so Rey Fenix is getting to showcase his skills here, but he's also kind of looking weak because he's throwing every single thing he can at Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn's doing little to nothing back at him, and Rey Fenix still can't put him down. And then on the flip side of that, you've got the U.S. champion, the actual champion, who should be showcasing a little bit more of his skills to show us why he's the champion, but instead you get very little of that. You get about 2 or 3 good offensive moves, and a win. So, yeah, long-winded explanation from me there, but essentially I'm agreeing with you 100%, Vic.
No, that was very insightful there, Mr. Mosley. I see the refueling has really, inspired some creativity and ingenuity in that.
It has. I was a little bit parched, so I'm glad that I'm able to, have a little gas in the tank here.
All right. Moving along, we got a backstage segment with Julia and Kiana James talking trash with B-Fab, nothing of note. But then we have a match between them. Well, we see Julia's entrance, but wait! We cut to a Wyatt 6 video. And I think I've said this before, I'm a big fan of these spooky videos. They give me a lot of Rob Zombie vibes, which is cool. I'm all for that. And it was really great to hear Eric Rowan talk. And he did a great job. He's talking about how it pains him to see Tez and Dawkins like this. There's cracks at the seams. Their brotherhood is infected and rotting, which means they have a tough choice. Amputate or save yourselves and let the disease consume. Follow the buzzards. Anyways, now I'll cut back to the match. Now I'll get your thoughts on the promo with the Wyatt 6 and the match. But because the match really has not much to say. The match is pretty much non-existent, to be honest with you, right? I mean, the bell does the bell even ring? But we have Julia and Kiana teaming up on B-Fab until Michin comes out with a kendo stick to even the odds, and that's it. Did I miss anything?
I don't think you missed anything. No, first of all, whenever that backstage segment happened, I didn't even know who B-Fab was. I remember Deborah asked me, she's like, who is that? And I'm like, I have no idea. Well, apparently that's B-Fab, and she's going to be in a match with Julia. So the pre-recorded segment with Bo Dallas and Eric Rowan, I thought it was kind of cool. I thought it was weird. At first, I thought they might have been talking about them, and that's why the other guys weren't there. And I was like, this is weird. Was there some dissension in the Wyatt 6? But no, they were talking about the Street Profits, as you mentioned. And my thoughts on this entire segment, and well, not the Wyatt, but the Julia and the B-Fab thing. And I got done shining up Julia last week, but this was BS, man. This was terrible. Like, my thoughts were, what the hell is this? Was it not supposed to be a match? And then I started thinking about it. I don't think I even seen a referee out there. And I was going to go back and double check, but I'm pretty sure there was no ref in the ring. So obviously it wasn't going to be a match. It was just such a weird setup to get the two pairs of women to stand opposing to each other. That was the goal of this, was to get the four of them in a stare down, basically. And could they have not found another way to do that, a better way to do that than to set up a match and then not even have the match and then do, I don't know. I thought it was terrible. I just thought it was bad.
Since you're quite the Julia Mark, do you think she should be a babyface?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
She seems too crowd pleasing. At least she's got a really cool entrance.
Yeah.
Cool look. I'm like, what's there to hate? What's there to hate besides her having Kiana James?
I mean, and she's great in the ring usually. You know, I really enjoy her matches. That's a good point, Vic. You might be onto something there that I hadn't really gave any thought to, but yeah. Yeah, maybe, yeah. Sure. Okay. I like her. I would love to see her go babyface because I would love to see how she does with it, but maybe, I don't know, how's her talking? Her talking's fine, right? She's got sort of a little bit of a language barrier maybe going on, but I don't know.
Anyways, well, so afterwards, we got a video segment here with Aleister Black, where he tells Priest that he's both the sickness and the cure. Have you ever seen the movie Cobra starring Sylvester Stallone?
No, because I don't believe so.
There's a line in that movie where Stallone tells the main heel of that movie, "You're the disease and I'm the cure." So just thought I'd throw that in there. When I saw that video segment, I was like, this guy's quoting Cobra, or at least kind of. Whatever, yeah. I got a kick out of that. I'm a Stallone mark, so what can I say?
Sweet.
Anyways, then we have the match for the women's championship, women's SmackDown. Do they have names? Is it Women's World Championship?
WWE Women's Championship. That's the one. That's the SmackDown one, the one that with the big W in the middle.
Okay. Well, we have the WWE Women's Champion, Tiffany Stratton, defending against Jade Cargill. So Tiffy has a nice pop coming down to the ring, but she's also got a really nice pop-up drop kick and a not so good spine buster. But I don't know if that was more her fault than her opponent's, because they did look to be some miscommunication going on there. But Jade's reverse baseball slide onto Tiffany's face in the apron was good stuff. When she stopped the prettiest moonsault ever, Jade hits her own Blue Thunder Bomb-esque move. That was decent. Jade goes for a choke slam, but not before licking Tiffy's cheek. But it's countered into a roll-up, followed by an Alabama slam in Virginia, as Joe says. And they start fighting outside.
Start farting?
They start farting, yeah. They start fighting outside. And then Jade spears Tiffy through the table. The match ends in a double count out. Up until then, I thought it was a pretty decent match. I mean, I really think these women brought their power moves to showcase, and they did a good job. Both women looked really strong out there. There's still some, you can still see some greenness in Jade. Tiffany looks great. Tiffany's going to be main event for a while, I think. Jade will eventually get there, I think, because she looks like a main eventer. Overall, I thought this was a decent match. I didn't care for the end when Nia Jax came out and beat both girls up. But, what can you do? Your thoughts, my man, Mr. Mosley.
I had very little notes for this other than the play-by-play type things. But after it was all said and done, of course, Nia Jax comes out at the end. I said, great, so more botches coming down the pipeline, I guess. We talked about this match previously, and I thought this was one of the worst women's matches I've seen in a long time.
Wow.
Maybe it's because it was a title match. It could have been that combined with the fact that you've got Tiffany Stratton out there, who's usually really good. You've got Jade out there, who I'm a big fan of Jade Cargill. I've been a fan of her even when she was in AEW, and I barely watched AEW. I always liked her. I thought she had a great look.
Oh, yeah.
Man, her look is second to none when it comes to like female wrestlers, but like, man, she's just so green. When I was watching this match, I just kept seeing like botch. It wasn't even like full botches, but there were a lot of instances of near botches in this match. And to me, that's not indicative of what you want to see in a world championship match, in a WWE Women's Championship match, world champion, whatever. You don't want to see that when you're putting these people on screen and they're supposed to be your best and one of your top 5 or whatever. So no, I didn't see the same thing you did, unfortunately. I have to disagree. I just thought it was not a good match at all, and Nia coming out at the end, Nia has that go-away heat. She doesn't have the heat of a heel that, like, she does dastardly things and people just want to see her get beat up. People just don't want to see her. So it wasn't a good match. It wasn't a good post-match. It wasn't a good anything for me. I thought it could have went a lot better, but for me, I just did not see what you were seeing there, Vic.
I'm going to agree with 2 things you just said there. For one, I think that there's still like a lot of hesitation in Jade's matches, like awkward, like, is it my turn or is it your turn? Is it,
they look like they didn't. Yeah, they look like they didn't know what the next spot was, and they were constantly confused and trying to figure out what the next spot was. That it took me way out of it, man. And I'm like, if this would have just been a run-of-the-mill, just regular women's match or whatever, like, I still would have been hard on it. I still would have been like, they should have done better. But this was a title match with the champion and number 1 contender, so I don't know.
There was a little bit less hesitation I felt this time around than some of Jade's other matches. And the other thing I agree with you on is the go-away heat for Nia Jax. And you can't tell me that this match is worse than some of those Nia Jax matches she had when she was, champion for like 8 months.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, look, I don't, well, no, I take that back. I don't know if I like Nia or not. I want to say that I like her, but I don't really like her. You just said she's got
go-away heat.
I know, but
that's pretty bad.
Well, that's not from me. She doesn't necessarily have go-away heat from me. She's got go-away heat from the crowd. I think that she just needs to work on some things that she's not worked on. And it's been years that this has been going on, that she has not improved in certain areas that she should have improved in. I like the fact that Nia is the way that she is, if that makes sense. You've got all these little 5-foot-tall, pretty little girls on the roster, and then you've got Nia Jax, who's this 6-foot, whatever it is, Samoan, big, giant refrigerator of a woman that, like, I like seeing that because it's a contrast to what you normally see. And so I think I want her to be better, but she's just not, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
all fair points. All right. So moving along, we got a backstage segment with Chelsea Green and Alba Fire. They tell Nick Aldis they want another tag title shot, which he just grants them. So we got a tag title match, I believe, next week. And then then The Miz shows up. He tells him he wants a tag title match as well, but Nick tells him like something about along the lines of, we already talked about this. And he's happy about it. It's kind of vague, but it gets answered later on. All right. Then Drew comes out for his entrance. He's about to face Randy Orton, which is our main event for the evening. But then we cut to Sami Zayn. Sami's in the back where we find out who his next opponent is for next week. It's Carmelo. And it's so exit Sami, enter Miz, who we find out Carmelo already went to Aldis about a title match, but it wasn't for the tag titles. It was for the U.S. title. That was the whole confusion from earlier. All right, so our main event, Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. So they start trading some hits, and then we quickly go to break. We come back, and Randy does his joint stomps. Drew then focuses on Orton's knee, and even locks in a figure 4 leg lock. Woo!
Woohoo!
So yeah, I love it. So then they start fighting outside, and Drew hits Randy with Randy's move where he kind of does like a atomic suplex type thing onto the table, which I thought was kind of interesting. So then we go to break, and when we come back, it's like Randy's still outside struggling. So I don't know what the hell was going on during the break, but that happened. And back inside, Drew body slams Randy, where he gets his leg caught on the ring ropes, which I thought looked pretty good. Could have been bad. I've seen people actually get legit injured from that move. Another figure 4 by Drew is countered, and Randy finally makes his comeback. He hits his power slam, hits the slam on the announcer's table that I mentioned earlier. He hits it twice, actually, and then gets back in the ring and eats a claymore. But then Randy rolls outside. Drew goes after him, and then Randy comes back inside. Drew comes back inside, and Randy hits him with an RKO. And then Drew rolls back outside again, and Randy comes back with the rope DDT. Randy loads up the punt kick, but the ref distracts him, so he hesitates, which is enough for Drew to hit the Claymore for the win. I thought it was a pretty good match. I mean, there was some pacing issues in the middle, but for the most part, I thought it was fun. I had it was a good psychology-based match. It was entertaining enough for me. And then Cody comes out and tells Drew that he'll see him at WrestleMania or Wrestlepalooza. Apologies. What did you think of this main event?
I thought the main event, I thought it was a good match. I mean, Drew and Orton, they're not going to have a bad match. So, props to whoever set this card up for SmackDown and having them go on last. I thought it was a good way to close the show. I thought it was a good match. It was the best match of the night. Second only to the U.S. Open title match, which, again, could have been better if, like I said, if Sammy had maybe some better offense there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I thought it was good. I mean, it was a banger of a match, I thought, especially for a SmackDown. The post-match deal with Guile coming out, Cody Rhodes coming out,
Sonic Boom.
Whenever I was watching that, did it not last maybe 10 seconds from the moment that his music hit to when they cut the camera?
Like they cut backstage?
Huh?
Or cut the commercial. When they cut backstage or cut the commercial?
They cut the show off. That was the end of the show.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, it was very, very quickly. Like he came Cody out, Rhodes, grabbed the mic.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes came out. He said, "I'll see you at WrestlePalooza," and then it was gone. It was it. So,
yep.
I thought it was a good match. I thought, again, this wasn't my favorite SmackDown ever, and I think that it had a lot to live up to, considering last week's SmackDown was so good. Was the best SmackDown that we'd seen that I had seen in a very, very, very long time. Of course, it had the whole AJ Lee story going for it. It had John Cena, and that was supposedly John Cena's last time on SmackDown. You didn't get that here. You didn't get the Cena promo. You didn't get so much of the extras that the week prior had. But man, it was just a weak show all around. Except that main event was probably the highlight of it. And that's my thoughts, Vic. So now we're gonna move on to the Monday Night Raw review from September the 15th, presented by your very own Mr. Mosley. This Raw was in Springfield, Massachusetts, so you know who's going to be there. Mr. John Cena, Juan Cena, if you will.
I thought you were going to say Homer Simpson.
Homer Simpson? Oh, what, is it Springfield?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I should know that. I have the Simpsons arcade thing in there. I was never a big Simpsons fan, though.
Oh, really? That's surprising. There's going to be more Simpsons coming up later.
Yeah, well, I wasn't. I was never a big Simpsons fan. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. I played some of the games. I played like Krusty's Funhouse on the Sega Genesis. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I had that on the Super Nintendo.
Where he had to direct like the rats or whatever into the
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, that was cool. Anyway, let's get back to Monday Night Raw here. So Monday Night Raw started out with, and I don't have extensive notes for this. I just have backstage segment argument between the Usos and the Brawns. Do you have anything to add to this, Slick Vic?
Well, the Usos and the Brawns, wasn't it the Usos and LA Knight?
Don't know. I said the Usos and the Brawns. That was the one to start it?
Yeah, didn't the show start with LA Knight like pretty much wanted to get his hands on Jey Uso for spearing him last week?
Maybe there was some bronze mentioned in that, and I don't know.
Because yeah, that pretty much set, I believe that set the tone for the rest of the show. Because there was the whole is Knight gonna find Knight needs a partner against the Bronze, and he wants Jimmy, and we'll get to it.
Yeah. There were several segments, so this is just a one-off. Anyway, there was a backstage segment, and people were arguing, and then we get to the real meat and potatoes of the matter.
Yes,
we get an in-ring segment. This should have started the show. The crowd's chanting for Cena. We get the long pause before the music hits, and the hometown hero heads to the ring to huge applause. Obviously, when it's panning over the crowd and the crowd's chanting and there's no music and they give you several seconds of a build-up, something big's going to happen. So it was Cena. And Cena comes out and he talks up the crowd. He even gives Alicia Taylor props for his introduction before moving on to his opponent at Wrestlepalooza, Brock Lesnar, and the crowd starts chanting "Fuck you, Lesnar," which gets bleeped. The crowd chants "Whoop his ass," which does not get bleeped. Cena reiterates that he only has 6 days left, or 6 appearances, 6 dates, whatever you want to call them, and talks about being the last real champion, explaining kind of what that means as being someone who puts everything they have into it and wins in the ring and not backstage. Not sure how legitimate that was, but that may be a discussion for another time. So, thoughts? Another great promo from Cena here, if not a bit run-of-the-mill. A great response was given here for Cena, but the crowd was super on his side with this one, obviously. The chants were deafening. Great start to the show. So, you get Cena in his home state, I don't know, it's not his hometown, but his home state. The crowd was white hot, and I'll say this now just in case I forget to say it. This crowd was absolutely insane the entire night for Monday Night Raw. And I think it was a better crowd than, dare I say, Chicago. I think this beat the Chicago crowd from the last episode. This was the Chicago crowd that wasn't actually in Chicago. But yeah, they were super hot, white hot, chanting all night. Really, really hot for this intro here. Vic, what'd you think about it?
Well, first of all, you calling Springfield, Massachusetts a better wrestling town than Chicago. Them is fighting words in my country.
Now, that's taking it a bit too far. Now, you're taking it out of context. A little
Anyways,
bit.
I thought this was a good promo. I mean, I liked how John joked about using backstage politics. And he paints a really good picture about how tough Brock is. We talked about how Brock's promo was comedy, but John took it very seriously and made Brock out to be like this insurmountable god he's got to overcome at Wrestlepalooza. And, he's never going to give up and never, he founded Suplex City and his jorts are stronger than Brock's jeans. Great line. And, but yeah, this was a great, superhero like promo from John. So yeah, I dug it.
Awesome. Now, Vic, I got reading on my notes, and actually my notes following this segment are of a backstage segment between LA Knight and Jey Uso are arguing backstage. This is the segment that you were talking about. It didn't actually start the show. This was after the Cena deal. The LA Knight and Jey Uso thing was after the Cena deal. So there was a backstage segment prior to the Cena deal of an argument between the Usos and the Brawns.
Okay.
We'll figure this.
One of us is wrong.
We'll figure this out. But hey, I got notes. Pal. Backstage segment. So LA Knight and Jey Uso are arguing backstage with Adam Pearce. Knight says he wants the bronze and chooses Jimmy Uso as his partner. Jey says, no, that's my brother. And Knight hits him with a, yeah. The yeah never gets old for me. Is Jey jealous of Jimmy and Knight's cooperation? I wouldn't be surprised to see Jey get involved in this match later. Were my thoughts on that segment. And of course, this is sort of like you said before. It's a running theme throughout this entire episode. Do you have anything to add to the segment?
The only thing I want to add is LA Knight comes off like such a big star, and I love the yeah.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah. Then we go to a match, Slick Vic. Lyra Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez. And, you know, it is what it is. I like Roxanne. I don't like Lyra, but we'll see what happens here. There's some back and forth. Lyra's still with the weak-looking offense, but Roxanne is doing great. Lyra climbs to the top to launch an attack at Roxanne in the ring, but Perez yanks Lyra's feet out from under her, causing her to fall from the top turnbuckle all the way down and landing flat back in the ring, which looked nasty.
I have the exact word, nasty. Nasty.
I think I might have used that word multiple times throughout this episode, but yeah, that looks sick. Roxanne hits a Frankensteiner, follows up with a knee strike, only gets a 2 count, but quickly switches into a crossface.
Wait a minute. Say it right. I mentioned earlier this isn't going to be the only time Chris Benoit was announced tonight. Well, what did Roxanne lock in there?
Into a crippler crossface.
Yes.
Lyra manages to power out and hits Roxanne with a Nightwing for the win. Wow. Post-match, Roxelle Rodriguez attacks Lyra, but Bayley returns to save the day, so we finally get the big return of Bayley here. She's taking out Roxanne and Raquel. The crowd chants loudly for Bayley, who looks like she's about to attack Lyra before holding her head, changing attitude, and running outside the ring to hug everyone. So she's going a little bit nuts. Thoughts on this? Multiple personality disorder Bayley is the new gimmick, which I correctly guessed weeks ago when the vignette started. I'm into it, though. I think it could be great seeing all of Bayley's former versions, especially if they went, head first into this and did it with, like, different attires, different entrances, going back over her career, did the 100%. Whole 9 yards. That would be awesome. If they decide to take it that far, and I think they should. Vic, what were your thoughts on this one?
First of all, did you say Roxelle?
No.
Okay.
Did I?
It sounded like you did. Anyways, I don't know if you caught this. I swear to God, Lyra hit a Mortal Kombat style leg sweep on Roxanne at some point during this match. It was literally like she pressed back and low kick and sweeped Roxanne off her feet.
Wow.
The ref ejecting Raquel I love that spot. That spot never gets old to me when the ref's like, "You're out of here." That never gets old for me. But yeah, you mentioned that turnbuckle spot looked nasty. But Lyra's gut wrench powerbombs look really smooth. And then Roxanne locks into crippler crossface. And this is probably the best Lyra Valkyria match I've seen in several weeks. I thought she actually looked pretty good here. And Roxanne didn't look too bad either. So this was a good match, in my opinion. Decent match. I gotta grade it nicely. It was, good enough. Good enough. Yeah. Good enough.
It was better. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm with you on the whole post match stuff with Bayley. I want to see where this multiple personality gimmick goes. Psycho Bayley, however you want to call her, hugging people, and then next week she's probably wanted to kill people. We'll see. I'm invested.
Yeah, I'm pumped for this. I'm glad that they're doing this instead of, because really they've kind of already we've had heel Bailey, we've had comedic heel Bailey, we've had babyface. Now she's going to go back and kind of touch on each one. I think this could be a really good idea. Something original that not anybody has done, at least in a very long time. Maybe Mick Foley might be credited as the original multiple personality disorder superstar, but we're bringing it back. So, Vic, this is the part in my notes where I have that there was a backstage segment, but I didn't actually have what that backstage segment was, so I'm not sure what it was, so I'm going to skim over it. If you've got it, bring it up to me here in a moment, but first I want to talk about the match between Kofi Kingston and Penta. And Kofi Kingston obviously is coming out with Xavier Woods, and as per the usual, as of late, Grayson Waller.
Big G.
All right, so Xavier's attire here, I don't know what he was going for. I just wrote Village People. That's what it was reminding me of. He looked like he was trying to audition for the Village People here. And I'm not sure that I'm buying this Wish.com version of the list that Waller is pushing. It seems like he's biting on Chris Jericho's stuff here. But as far as the match goes, Kofi was all over Penta early on. Penta makes a comeback coming out of a commercial break. Penta hits a loud chop, very loud chop to Kofi that gets a deserved replay. Nice back and forth spot with some hard kicks and forearms leads to Woods and Waller causing a momentary distraction, but the distraction has little effect as Penta manages to hit an incredible springboard Mexican destroyer for the win. Man, Penta is always exciting to watch in the ring, and the New Day, especially Woods, are hilarious these days. But how long has this feud been going? Solid match that didn't go too long. That destroyer at the end was perfectly sold by Kofi. It was a really great spot. But I don't know if I feel like I'm starting to get a little bit tired of this feud, or do I want more of it? I don't know. I'm questioning it, so that might be a problem. Vic, what'd you think of this match?
Well, if nothing else, these matches are great for Corey Graves' commentary. Because he mentioned, we talked about Simpsons earlier. Xavier Woods said something about Kofi's gonna knock Penta all the way back to Shelbyville. Shelbyville is for you non-Simpsons fans, is like the neighboring town of Springfield where the Simpsons live. And Corey caught on to that, and he said something like, "Oh, it's Woods' destination after Moe's Tavern and Lard Lad Donut," which I thought was hilarious. And, again, Corey's, investment into this New Day stuff, freaking hilarious. Love it. But Penta, this is Monday Night Penta. Man looks great every week. He's exciting to watch. That Mexican destroyer, the springboard Mexican destroyer at the end, awesome. Awesome stuff. Now, yeah, so I really enjoyed this match. But before I go on, I want to mention there was a backstage segment before this with Stephanie Vicaire and Io Sky making their match official, where Adam Pearce he just folded a notebook in half and said, "All right, contract signed, cool." Then Stephanie Vicaire and Io Sky have mutual respect for each other. Hooray. Cool. Then the Kabuki Warriors come out and do their usual shtick. They argue, and then Asuka gets in Stephanie's face and says, "You're going to have a match with Kairi." And Kairi's like, "Okay." And then Asuka leaves, and then we hear, "Kairi!" Fun stuff. But then there was also a quick little segment with LA Knight where he tells Jimmy Uso that he's got a lot of reasons not to trust anyone in Jimmy's family, but he wants him as his tag team partner. Jimmy says no, though. We'll come back to this later. Moving on.
Is that it?
Yep.
That was your thoughts. All right. I didn't think you was going to quit there, Vic. I thought you were going to go ahead and give us the rest of the segment.
I didn't hijack the show like the fans do, did I?
You almost hijacked it. Yeah, you went right into the next segment, I believe. That's okay. That's okay, because you're right about that. Yeah, you started into the Uso segment, which was right after the match. We see Jey Uso on the phone backstage. Obviously, he's talking to Roman, right? That's what everybody thinks. Akuma. Is he playing Akuma? Roman's playing Akuma?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Oh, man. No, I didn't. He would make such a good Akuma. That's awesome. But Jey Uso's on the phone. Jimmy walks up. Jey tries to tell Jimmy to tell not no to him being his partner tonight. Jey stumbles over his words, trying to tell Jimmy to just worry about their match at Wrestlepalooza. Jimmy says he isn't taking orders from Jey and that he doesn't see any Ula Fala around his neck. Wow. It would seem that there's already dissension between the Usos here, but I can't imagine they would kill it so quickly, would they? Further notes, so I guess this was after the fact. Jimmy runs into Knott backstage and agrees to be his partner for the match later tonight. So a little bit of an argument there between Jimmy and Jey. And, before, obviously, Jimmy had told Knott that he did not want to be his partner because it was going to cause problems. But because of this little argument and things that went on during this segment, Jimmy then agrees to be Knott's partner. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really understand where they're going with this. I don't think that they would break up the Usos already, considering they just put them together. And if they did break them up, if they did if they actually started fighting and we're going to have a match between the Uso brothers, we already had that match at WrestleMania 40. And it was one of the worst matches on the card. I don't think anybody wants to see that right now. I don't think anybody wants to see Jey turn full heel. So it's weird. It's sort of like they're hinting at something's going to happen, but I can't predict it. I can't see through this at all. But yeah, that was that segment. Vic, what do you think about this?
Well, it was a good exchange. I liked the tension between them. But I don't know if you caught this one, because when I was watching it, I was like, did Jimmy forget his lines when he was talking? Because at one point he goes, "Look, man." He's doing this for about, a good solid 10 seconds, and then Jey just starts talking again. Jimmy's like, "Look, man." I swear to God, I swear Jimmy forgot his lines there. But other than that, it was a good exchange. I like this whole Jimmy's trying to be controlling and then Jey trying to be controlling and then Jimmy not having it. So yeah, this will come into Slick Vic's picks later, because I think there's this dissension is going to lead to the Usos' downfall.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if Jimmy forgot his lines there, I didn't catch it because I'm so taken back by Jey Uso's lack of promo skills. I think that's one of the biggest things that bothers me about Jey, is when he gets out there and tries to cut a promo, it's like he forgets what he's going to say, or he's super nervous, or he stumbles over his words. I can't get by that. So maybe I just missed that part. But yeah, that's pretty hilarious. I may have to go back and watch that. From that, we get an in-ring segment. Seth Rollins' music hits, and he enters the arena, followed by Becky Lynch's music as she comes out to join him. The two head down to the ring. Rollins says he refuses to even mention the town they are in, but addresses the Netflix audience by introducing himself and Becky. The crowd is chanting for AJ Lee. Becky starts to talk, but is quickly interrupted by AJ Lee's music, with AJ and CM Punk heading to the ring together. Punk introduced himself as AJ's husband, which gets a good pop and chant from the crowd. Punk rips on Becky and Rollins for a little bit. Rollins starts to talk and gets met with "shut the fuck up" chants from the crowd. Becky tells AJ that she read her book and knows she had prior neck injuries. AJ says she doesn't know how her neck will hold up, but Becky should be worried because she doesn't know what she will do next. Rollins and AJ have some words before she slaps the hell out of him. Rollins says the Punk line from a couple of weeks ago about not putting his hands on a lady but knows someone who will, and looks at Becky. But Becky just hops out of the ring and retreats. Rollins pushes Punk and gives chase as Becky slips back into the ring and hits AJ with a manhandle slam. Becky then slaps Punk when he comes back into the ring to check on AJ. And that was it. I thought it was a great segment. It's still filling this feud. Can't wait to see the fallout at Wrestlepalooza and going forward, because I don't think Wrestlepalooza is going to be the end of this. The crowd was so into this segment with various chants throughout. Such good work by all four of these individuals building the story and hot for their match. Still feel like this is the best storyline in ages and best build to a match in ages, and probably the most look forward to match at Wrestlepalooza for me and a lot of other people. Vic, what say you?
Excellent stuff. This was my favorite part of the night. Even though it went kind of long, I was hooked. Great promo by AJ Lee and AJ Lee's husband. Although I half agree with AJ Lee's husband. He said their opponents have two crappy theme songs. I don't particularly like Becky's new theme song, but I get why she changed it. I like Seth's music. It's fine. But the crowd was totally shitting on Seth and Becky with several chants throughout the night. Good stuff. And I've said this before. I'm gonna keep championing Becky because she is so good during this whole the feud. I love the line about how what did she say? Like about you were in a blood feud with somebody over a stupid bracelet with AJ's name on it, and goes on about how she is the greatest of all time. And it's not her saying it. It's not just her saying it. Everybody is saying it. Sports Illustrated is saying it. I think she said whatever town they were in's newspaper was saying it. And then I loved the ending with Seth and Becky reenacting the return of AJ Lee, and then acting like they're not on the same page. But then it ends with Becky getting the drop on AJ Lee with the manhandle slam. Good stuff.
All right, so then we go to a backstage segment. Byron Saxton. We don't see a lot of him these days, I feel like. Byron is interviewing Dom, and Dom calls himself the Mega Intercontinental Champion. We talked about it at the start of the show. Dom is the new AAA Mega Champion. So he says that because he has the AAA Mega Championship and the Intercontinental Championship, that he is now the Mega Intercontinental Champion. But he's quickly interrupted by a ruckus somewhere else backstage. Officials, referees, etc. are seen running by to a different location where Xavier Woods is seen beating down Penta with a chair. Interesting. And I thought that maybe this would lead to another match at Wrestlepalooza, but I think so far it has not. Vic, your thoughts?
I don't have much except poor Penta, and I guess the feud continues.
That's it. Then we go to a match. Dragon Lee versus El Grande Americano, hailing from the Gulf of America. Dragon gets a running drop kick early, but a second charge is thwarted by a nasty kick from Grande. I'll just go ahead and say before I continue on with this play-by-play that this was a friggin' hard-hitting match. There was a lot of, this was strong style. In other words, Grande keeps on the offense, hitting a TKO-like cutter for a 2 count, a senton for a 2 count, and a massive kick followed by a super loud chop. Dragon finally gets in some offense with a head scissors, throwing Grande to the outside, followed by a running, I don't know what it was. I put self-lawn dart. That's what I called it. A self-lawn dart. The two trade loud chops in the ring. Dragon hits a Liger bomb for a 2 count. Dragon sets up Grande in the corner for a double stomp, with Grande holding onto the ropes, which was super staged as always. A second Grande shows up to deliver a kick to Dragon Lee, allowing Grande 1 to get a near fall. Then we see AJ Styles come down to the ring and give chase to Grande number 2, getting rid of him in the process. But then a third El Grande shows up and takes out AJ with a tornado DDT. Grande number 2 shows back up to push Dragon off of the top rope, with Grande 1 following up with they call it a carbonara? A carbonata?
I missed it.
It's whatever they call that finisher, that submission. It's a submission finisher for the win. So, I thought this was a crazy, hard-hitting match that I was really entertained by. Not just a second, but a third El Grande shows up to help, which is just crazy. I mean, this whole match was a really great match, man. And it was hard-hitting, and hopefully nobody got seriously injured. There was a lot of hard chops and kicks and stuff in this one. And I wrote, do these guys come off an assembly line? Will we ever see a multi-Grande Americano match?
Man, it's almost like he can teleport into like 3 different places at once.
Well, we know now by this that he's not teleporting. There are multiple Grandes. They were all standing there at the end. They were doing the Spider-Man point.
Yes, they were.
At the end. So we know now that it's not just teleportation. There are multiple Grandes. It's like the multiple doink
multiverse
thing.
Multiverse type thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That was it. What did you think of this match, Vic?
I pretty much echo a lot of your sentiments there, Mr. Mosley. That chop from El Grande Americana Lee was thunderous.
Yes.
The acoustics in that arena are very lucha friendly, I guess. The diving cannonball by Lee was nice. And I still think the double stomp in the corner is dumb. And then I got a huge kick out of the whole, I don't know if you remember, one of the Americanos like hid under the ring, and I think it was AJ was chasing him.
Yeah.
And both Corey and Joe are like pointing, he's under the ring, he's under the ring. Yeah. And then Corey immediately turns on Joe and says, why are you telling him where he is, you stooge? Yeah, so it was a decent match. And I thought the numerous Americanos were hilarious.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Then we get a backstage segment. We see Lyra, and she's walking up to Bayley's dressing room. And you can hear Bayley in there. She sounds like she's talking to multiple people, like she's arguing with someone or maybe multiple someones. Lyra knocks and walks in to find Bayley by herself. And then Bayley yells at Lyra and walks off. So that was that. Then we get another backstage segment. Stephanie Vaquer and Rhea Ripley. Ripley tells her, okay, I wrote that wrong. Ripley basically says that she's coming for her. She doesn't care who wins the championship. She's coming for him. So 2 little backstage segments there, and my thoughts were, maybe this is a little foreshadowing for what might happen at Wrestlepalooza and going forward. And then I'll go over the match, Vic, and we'll get your thoughts. Stephanie Vaquer versus Kairi Sane with Asuka. All right, so the match starts with some nice grappling between the two. The crowd is fairly quiet through this sequence, which I kind of don't like that because, like, it makes it so much more obvious that the crowd is just gonna chant and cheer and things for high spots, and you can't do basic grappling anymore, which kind of sucks because you should be able to. I really like the grappling. But I couldn't tell if that was a good thing or a bad thing. Asuka yells at Kairi when the two shake hands. Kairi hits a drop kick that looks like it was 6 inches away from landing, but Vaquer sells it anyway. Kairi, outside of the ring, catches Vaquer standing on an apron and tries to powerbomb her to the floor, but Vaquer counters into a vicious double knee drop, and we are into a commercial. Back from the commercial, you get some more back and forth between the two. Vaquer hits a nice DDT, which she turns into a roll-up for a 2 count. Kyrie counters a suplex into a nasty DDT of her own. We get the lame-ass double stomp in the corner from Kyrie with Vicaire hanging onto the ropes, so we just seen this happen, and now we're seeing it happen again.
Bullshit.
It was just as bad this time.
Yeah.
Vicaire hits a crossbody to the outside, taking out both Kyrie and Asuka. Then, back in the ring, Vicaire hits a devil's kiss on Kyrie, followed by a big SVB for the win. Post-match, Asuka gets in the ring with Stephanie. Io's music hits, and she runs down to the ring to stop a fight between the two. Io and Stephanie shake hands to end the segment. I thought it was a solid match. I don't think the crowd was very into the grappling, as I had mentioned at the start, like I was, but the rest of the match had them wrapped around both gals' fingers. Lots of good stuff in this match, with both women having their range of skill on display. The post-match segment was good, making everyone think Io and Asuka might throw down, but it ended well with mutual respect between the two contenders for the women's world title at Wrestlepalooza. A thought, though, maybe we'll see Asuka cost Io the title at the upcoming PLE. Interesting. Vic, let me get some thoughts from you there, buddy.
Let me get this out of the way right away. That corner double stomp again? Like 2 matches in a row? No, I don't know if those 2 matches in a row, but
yeah,
freaking terrible.
It was. Yeah.
Why? That match, that move sucks. Okay. Stephanie's dragons through always looks like it hurts the opponent for real. I haven't heard anything about it really hurting anybody yet, which is great. And it looked like Stephanie hit a new version of the SVB where she hit like a butterfly, face first in the knee as opposed to the back, hitting the knees in the back. I don't know if you caught that. But no, that was a decent match. Devil's Kiss is still really over. I like how they give a shout out to Booker T all the time. By the way, it's I don't know how you feel about this. I think Stephanie Vicaire is a future star, almost like Braun Breaker is a future main eventer. I think yes. Stephanie's the female equivalent to Braun Breaker right now.
Yeah,
where we know there's big things in store for Stephanie, just like there's big things in store for Braun. Yeah, that's all I got.
That's a great comparison. I do like that, Vic, and I totally agree. Totally agree with you there. From that, we go to a backstage segment. By the way, Raw is so much fucking longer than SmackDown. It's ridiculous. I had like maybe 4 to 5 pages on my phone of notes for SmackDown. It was so short, and I've got 15 on Raw. So, anyway, backstage segment. Judgment Day are celebrating backstage, but Balor says maybe pump the brakes on the celebrating as he is concerned with El Grande Americano's allegiance to Dirty Dom. They argue a little bit, and he tells Dom next time he needs help not to ask them for it. Balor and JD McDonough leave, and then we see Rusev step in. He tells Dom that he is the next Intercontinental Champion. Clearly some breakdown here with the Judgment Day. Will we see Rusev actually rip the title away from Dom after this conflict within the Judgment Day? Honestly, I don't think so. But if the two face off for the title, Grande will likely help Dom retain. If the Judgment Day members don't help him, then Grande will. Some kind of bullshit like that. But I would personally be good with Rusev winning the title and continuing his rise, because I am a fan of Rusev. So I would like to see that happen. Vic, any thoughts on this little backstage fiasco with the Judgment Day and the celebrating and the champagne and the titles and the Rusevs and all that good stuff?
No.
Okay. Nothing from Slick Vic on that one. We are on to the main event of the evening, which is LA Knight with Jimmy Uso versus Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. So Jimmy Uso and Braun Breaker start the match. Breaker's controlling initially. Breaker whips Jimmy towards the turnbuckle, but he counters with a smooth-ass baseball slide and retaliates with a big uppercut. I loved that spot. He whips him towards the turnbuckle, but he slides back up and comes back. I loved that. Reed and Knight get tagged in. Knight takes it to Reed with a little mud hole stomping in the corner. And then we're in a commercial. Back from the commercial, Reed is in control over Jimmy. Tags in Breaker, who cuts a pin short with some Big Papa Pump push-ups after the 1 count. Jimmy continues to struggle to tag in Knight as Breaker hits a tag to Reed. There's a lot of tags going on in this. Jimmy is able to mount some offense, and both men are down. Jimmy finally gets up and tagged in. Jimmy finally gets tagged in along with Breaker. And we get some fast-paced offense from Knight here before Reed is tagged in again. There's so many tags going in and out of this, Vic. I don't even know what I'm talking about right now. There's so much going on. I wish that they would let them. I wish that they would let them fight a little bit before they go for another tag, but nonetheless, this is my notes. Knight hits the elbow drop on Reed, followed by a tag in and an Uso splash from Jimmy. That's when Jimmy tagged himself in. And Breaker breaks the count at 2.5. Jimmy tosses Reed out, and there are several big attacks from Knight and Breaker on the outside. Back in the ring, Reed hits a jagged edge on Jimmy for the win. Post-match, Breaker hits a huge spear to Jimmy before Jay's music hits, and he heads to the ring with a chair. Jay takes out the bronze, checks on his brother while Knight grabs the chair behind him but does not follow through. The two shake hands, and all seems well before Knight hits Jay with a BFT. And that was it. So I thought the Bronze picking up the fairly clean win here would normally lead me to believe that the Usos are going over at Wrestlepalooza. But the constant conflict within Jay and Knight has me feeling like shenanigans may cause a loss for the Usos, leading to a one-on-one between Jay and Knight. As for the match itself, it was pretty good. I wish, again, this is echoing my sentiments from a moment ago, I wish the guys would give each other more time and less frequent tags in and out. But that's just me wanting to see Breaker go 100 miles an hour instead of Bronson Reed missing every splash he attempts. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Monday Night Raw. Slick Vic, let me get your thoughts on the main event.
Well, I still get a kick on seeing LA Knight mock Braun Breaker's little neck gesture things that he does.
That was funny, yeah.
Jimmy and Knight taking turns hitting signature moves looked pretty natural. And the push-ups was a nice throwback to Big Papa Pump. Braun's explosive offense still looks very devastating and freakish, no pun intended.
Freakzilla.
Did Knight jump on Bronson's back intentionally to eat a Samoan drop? Because it totally seemed like it.
Probably.
Overall, good match, but I didn't like the ending. I think Bronson's Death Valley Driver does not look as definitive as a finisher as his Tsunami, which has been well established in the last year as being like this devastating be-all end-all move that puts people into medical facilities or hospitals. Yeah. So seeing him win with a Death Valley Driver or Jagged Edge looks kind of weak. And post-match, I actually did not think Knight would turn on Jay after the handshake. I really didn't, but it got me. That swerve, bro, really got me.
All right, Slick Vic, so that was Monday Night Raw, and now we are on to our main event of the evening, Slick Vic's Picks. Do you got your crystal ball? Do you got your notes, your dictionaries, your thesaurus, your everything? I know one thing you don't got, and that's the music, because I need to cue that up right here. It's time, everybody, for Slick Vic's Picks. for Wrestlepalooza.
Gaze into the crystal ball, my friends.
And of course, Wrestlepalooza is this coming Saturday. We are currently recording on Thursday, September the 18th. So Wrestlepalooza, September the 20th. Don't miss it. Get you a VPN, get you a ESPN subscription, whatever you got to get.
Look at you telling everybody to be a pirate.
You're the one that's got the VPN. I'm over here paying all the money for all this stuff.
All right.
We got Slick Vic's picks ready to go. They are locked and loaded. I personally cannot wait to hear what these picks are and to see how they go. As always, this is one of my favorite things in the show. So, Vic, we're going to start out with the match that was recently confirmed to be going on first at this event. And that is Brock Lesnar versus John Cena.
What do you say? I mean, this right here is probably the toughest match of the whole card to call for me. I mean, I've gone back and forth thinking about what's going to happen. Who's gonna go over? What are the repercussions? Where does this lead? And I am giving the nudge to Super Cena. I predict John Cena over Brock Lesnar. Before we go further, Mr. Mosley, I'd like to ask you your pick for this match.
Wow, my pick for this match. Okay, well, this isn't my show, but you know what? I'll agree with you there, and we'll say that John Cena gets the win here. I will actually, it's hard to pick, like you said, Vic, because in the past, I don't know if John Cena has ever beat Brock Lesnar in any of the confrontations that so he has. Okay, well, that's interesting because when I think of John Cena and Brock Lesnar, I think of SummerSlam whenever Brock Lesnar suplexed him 45,000 times and then pinned him to become the dual champion. That's what comes to mind, and it's hard, if you watched that happen, it's hard to imagine Cena being able to overcome that type of a match, that type of a defeat to Brock. So, but I'm going to say Cena because, why not?
Okay.
So up next, we got the women's world title, and from this point on, I'm not sure if these are in order or not, but we know the card, at least the card thus far, and so the next match that we're going to be looking at here, the women's world title, the vacant women's world title, Io Sky versus Stephanie Vaquer.
Well, we're guaranteed a new women's world champion on Saturday, aren't we? Well, as Hawk would say. Anyways, my picks for this, let's see. It's too soon. I think it's a little too soon to put the belt on Stephanie. Yeah, she's really popular right now, but where was she the last 4 weeks? She's been MIA. Not sure where she's been. But here's the kicker. Next month's PLE is in Perth, Australia. And who's from Australia? Mommy. And if I am long-term fantasy booking this match, I am predicting Io Sky wins with help from Asuka. I know you predicted the other way. You predicted Stephanie wins with help from Asuka. I think that makes Stephanie look weak. I think Asuka helping Io gives Stephanie an out and also makes Io upset. So I am predicting that Asuka wins. I'm sorry, Asuka helps Io win. Mommy can finally beat Io Sky and win the belt in her home country. She gets two birds stoned at once. It's Trailer Park Boys reference. Asuka is definitely getting involved somehow, costing somebody. If she helps Stephanie win it, it would make Stephanie look weak. If she costs Stephanie, which draws the ire of Io, there we go.
Okay. So you're saying Io Sky is going to win that one?
Yes.
I typed OYO instead of IYO.
It used to be just IO, I think.
OYO. I read that as OEO. Killer tofu. But no, okay, well you make some good points. Let me and you mentioned there that I had already gave my musings on this match where I think that Stephanie's going to win it. Whether or not it's from interference from Asuka, I think Asuka's obviously going to try to interfere and probably cost Io the match, but if Asuka interferes and she interferes on, here's another thing to think about, Vic. If she interferes on behalf of Io, but then Io gets red hot and gets mad like you said she would, and then they are in the midst of arguing and, cussing each other out, and then all of a sudden here comes Stephanie from behind with a big attack to Io and finishes her and gets the 3 count. What about that scenario? So then Stephanie's the champion. Asuka still got involved, trying to help Io, but ends up costing her the match as a result.
I still think that makes Stephanie look weak, and we don't want Stephanie to look like she needed help or assistance to win this match.
Well, if she didn't, it's not really help, though. It's not encouraged by her to get this help. It's not something that she asked for. Is she supposed to throw away the opportunity to be the world champion just because somebody else interfered?
I see what you're going with this.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so you're picking Io Sky to win the women's world title, and then further going on to say that Rhea will take it from her in Perth, Australia at, what is it, Crown Jewel?
Yes.
Okay, so for whatever it's worth, I'm going to say that Stephanie wins this one, and then Stephanie goes on to face Rhea at Perth, and Stephanie beats Rhea at Perth. In her home country, Stephanie still wins. Because I think they can still put on a hell of a show, and I think that the crowd is going to be super excited to see Rhea, but Stephanie is not necessarily a heel, so I don't think she's going to get booed. And I think that it would be a respect thing to see the two face off and have a banger of a match and still Stephanie come out on top. And I think it would push Stephanie further into the main event. It would solidify her as the main eventer now rather than later. So that's my thoughts on it. But all right, so you're locked in, Slick Vic, with Io Sky winning the Women's World Championship. And then we got the Bronze, a.k.a. the Vision. Actually, it's the Vision, but we call them the Bronze here on Wrestling with Power. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed are going to be taking on the Usos. How do you feel about this one, Slick Vic?
All right. This is how I'm going with this one. I think it's a pretty, not a hot take to say that the Bronze are going to go over. There is dissension amongst the Usos, and I think Jay might even turn on Jimmy and cost them the match. I'm not saying that's exactly what's going to happen, but I think that's a possibility. Maybe LA Knight somehow gets involved as well, but he wouldn't really need to. You can tell a good enough story with Jay and Jimmy arguing and fighting, and that's what just costs them the match. I feel like there's going to be some kind of miscommunication, which leads to the Usos' downfall. So the Vision, featuring Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, go over.
All right, so you've got Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker going over the Usos, who have often been referred to as the greatest tag team in the history of WWE. Interesting take, but you know what, Slick Vic? I think I'm going to agree with you on that one. Now, the way that it happens, I'm not sure that will happen because the Usos are just now coming back together. I don't see them falling apart to the level of fighting against each other. We just saw that not a couple of years ago at WrestleMania 40 where they, Jimmy was the good guy, or Jimmy was the heel then, and Jay was the good guy, and they were facing off against each other at that event. I don't necessarily see them breaking them up in to a point where they're going to be facing each other again, but I do think that there's a lot of dissension and controversy and confusion when it comes to the Usos, as well as LA Knight, like you said. Maybe he gets involved. But, yeah, I'm going to say the Brawns go over here.
Excellent choice.
Good call, Vic. Then we got the mixed tag match, AJ Lee with CM Punk, a.k.a. AJ Lee's husband, versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. Vic.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
That's it.
All right. So this is AJ Lee's first match back. The crystal ball doesn't lie here, man. The crystal ball says AJ Lee and CM Punk are going over, with AJ getting the win over Becky, which sets up AJ versus Becky for the IC title, the women's IC title. That is how the crystal ball sees it. How does Mosley's musings, what do Mosley's musings tell him?
Well, as much as I would love to see that outcome, because I really, for the same exact reasons, this AJ Lee coming back, you want to see her win this match. I feel like I'm going to go the other way with it, and I'm going to say that Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch wins. I don't know how they're going to do it, if it's going to be by cheating, whatever, shenanigans, whatever happens, but I think if AJ Lee and CM Punk win here, really, I mean, either way it goes, if Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch win, whatever, there's still going to be a feud going forward. But I think that if Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch win the match, that it's a much easier feud to book in the coming months, because they could still be, there's still, CM Punk hasn't got his comeuppance against Seth Rollins yet. AJ Lee hasn't got her comeuppance against Becky Lynch yet. If you have AJ Lee and CM Punk go over now, then it flips it. All of a sudden, they've got their comeuppance, they've got the win over them. And yeah, I still see AJ Lee going after the title that Becky has. I still see it leading to CM Punk eventually facing Rollins for the World Championship. I just think that it would flow much better if we see Seth Rollins, even though it's not what everybody wants to see, obviously. It would, in the long term, work out better for Rollins and Becky to go over in this one. So that's who I'm going to go with.
You see, I feel like this is a nice way to prolong the CM Punk Seth Rollins feud without them having that blow-off one-on-one match, even though they've had several blow-off one-on-one matches, including the very first Netflix episode. But this is just, yes, another way to prolong that feud. And how do you do it? Let's get their wives involved. Wives involved. So we got AJ Lee and Becky Lynch scrapping it out. And I'm still going to go with AJ getting the pinfall or the submission, because I believe her original finisher was a submission hold. And that sets up the one-on-one match between AJ and Becky for the IC title.
Okay, yeah. So we're traveling towards the same goal here, Vic. I think that we're just good. There's a little bit of a deviation there in the path, but
different destination.
Same thing. Yeah, I'll just say, I would like to see AJ Lee and Punk come up the victors in this, but just for reasons, I'm going to pick Seth Rollins and Becky. But then, of course, we have what would assume to be the main event, since Cena and Lesnar are going to go on first. I'm assuming the WWE Championship match is going to be the main event, and that's going to be Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. Vic, what are your picks for this one?
All right, the crystal ball is going right to the jugular for this one. There is no way Cody loses the title in a match with so little build. This is ridiculous. This is. I mean, we do have a SmackDown coming up, before the night before the actual show for Wrestlepalooza, but still, it was like, Cody was being Guile the last couple weeks. You mentioned Guile earlier. He was throwing sonic booms and flash kicks at all people on screens, and he wasn't around to hit a crossroads or eat a Claymore kick. He ate a Claymore kick like last month through a table, which looked great.
Yeah.
But I do not see Cody losing the belt with this little build. So Cody Rhodes is going over. But here's another wild card, so to speak. I think Randy might get involved somehow. Maybe.
Ooh, okay.
Maybe. I don't think he's going to cost anyone the match. He might just, make even the odds if Drew tries to cheat or something. But sooner or later, man, I don't know when, there's got to be that long-term feud with Cody and Orton. It just makes too much sense.
Yeah, I agree. That's, Vic, I think that's a great pick because, when you think about long-term and you think about WrestleMania 40 with Cody Rhodes winning the championship from the big dog Roman Reigns after he held the title for 4 years. Well, he didn't hold any particular title for 4 years. Maybe he did. He was champion for 4 years. And then you get the WrestleMania 39 where Cody fails, and then WrestleMania 40 when he wins, and then 41, and then now we're going into 42. Will Cody Rhodes go into 42 as the champion? And I think
yes.
that's one of the big things that all of these other matches kind of hinge on. What, to me, regardless of the fact that it's little to no build to this match, we are ever closer to WrestleMania with every passing month. And the closer we get with Cody as the champion, you do not expect him to lose the title more and more. Every month that goes by, you're like, he's not going to lose it. He's not going to lose it. So if he doesn't lose it here, then that puts him off the Survivor Series, and then it puts him off to the Rumble, and then it's Mania, basically. So, yeah, I'm going to agree with you and say that Cody Rhodes wins this one because of everything that you mentioned, and I think you're spot on with that one. I think there's only a couple that I went against the picks here on, but these are Slick Vic's picks, and so they are locked in. Are they locked in, Slick Vic? Do you want to change your mind on any of these picks?
Nope. That's my final answer.
All right, that's his final answer. And so with that, we are going to close this session of Slick Vic's picks with a little more music from the old fortune teller. And can we go ahead and we'll get the crystal ball in here as well. I can see you upside down in that crystal ball.
You don't see your own reflection, do you? No. You must be a vampire.
I must be. Yeah, something going on.
That crystal ball's got some weight to it.
Oh, nice. That means it's legit.
Yeah.
Well, Vic, that's about all that we have for this week's episode of Wrestling with Power. And one thing that I want to mention that I literally just crossed my brain that I was going to mention earlier in the show, but I completely forgot. Last week, we talked about Tales from the Crypt. And for those of you listeners out there who saw, that made the cover art for episode 8. Well, as close as we could get it to Tales from the Crypt inspired cover art for that episode. We talked about that, and I told you that I only owned season 1, and you were asking me questions about the Santa Claus killer and the dude with the 9 lives because he got mixed with the cat DNA. And I was like, I don't know if I remember any of that. There's a reason for that, Slick Vic. It's because I do not own season 1. I actually own season 2.
Oh.
So I didn't know
that would explain why you know the Demi Moore episode.
The Demi Moore episode. Yeah, I mentioned the Demi Moore episode because that was in season 2. So yeah, that I just wanted to clear that up for you and for everybody. I do not own season 1. I own season 2. And that's it.
Man, do you remember anything else about season 2? Because I swear to God, there's an episode where this like criminal gets handcuffed to a cop. The cop dies. And then the episode ends with a bird, maybe a vulture, pecking out the criminal's eyes, which is gross. I don't remember
that. No, I kind of remember something about a log cabin where these people were like held up, and there were all these like deer heads and stuff, and somebody trying to escape. It could be mixed up with another horror movie or something. I don't know. I'm gonna go back and watch those again. But, yeah, the Demi Moore episode and the crystal ball and all that stuff and the fortune teller with the cards, the tarot cards and all that, that was all season 2, not season 1. So I want to correct myself there.
Well, the one I just mentioned is actually season 3. But season 2 has this really fun episode where these two gamblers are like waging body parts against each other.
Yes, and they have to cut their fingers off and then their hand off. And yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, see, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. At the end, they're like in some, like, I think a nursing home, and they're just like a head and torso left of them. And they're still fighting it out.
Oh, man, that's so good. Such good stuff. But yeah, that's the season that I have. So I hope to eventually have all the seasons, but for now, I'm stuck with season 2, and it's a pretty good one. It's a pretty good one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Vic, that brings us to the end. Vic, is there anything that you want to add to this week's episode before we head into... We got Wrestlepalooza coming up on Saturday in 2 short days. Everybody check it out, and we'll check out the picks. Vic, got anything else, my friend?
No, I think that's all. I'm looking forward to Wrestlepalooza and see how well the crystal ball holds up this week. So until then, I want to wish all of our listeners the best in their future endeavors.
Absolutely. And hopefully your future endeavors bring you to facebook.com/wrestlingwithpower. That way you can follow us on there. YouTube /@ Wrestling with Power podcast, or of course on Spotify.com/wrestlingwithpower. You can find all of the episodes there. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your grandmas and grandpas and cousins and everybody involved, and everybody stay powerful. Goodbye.